Hello everyone and welcome to live coverage of the Superpole session for the 2020 virtual 24 hours here at the Nürburgring after 5 practice sessions and a very fraught qualifying session. We've now got down to the 10 cars that will be competing here for pole position for tomorrow's race. This year's edition of the virtual 24 hours is, of course, as we know, held here at the legendary Nürburgring circuit, incorporating the Nordschleife and Grand Prix loops with 25.4 kilometers of hallowed tarmac with 170 turns. This circuit is certainly not one for the faint-hearted, and we've seen a few incidents already during practice and qualifying. First of all, you've got the Grand Prix loop moving up towards Hatzenbach as the start of the Nordschleife, which is the end of Sector 1. Through the Flugplatz and Schwedenkreuz all the way up to Adenauer Forst, which is the Sector 2 timing point. Kallenhard, Exmoller and Bergwerk follow, with Kesselchen acting as the third timing split, with the legendary Carousel, Hoacht, Wipperman and Brunchen all being part of Sector 4. For the final challenge for these cars and drivers tonight, we have the Pflanzgarten all the way down along the Dottinger Hohe through Tiergarten until they reach the final set of corners to the finish line once more, where we will find out who is going to be the fastest car and will take pole position for the 2020 virtual 24 hours. So the format for Superpole tonight, very simple. We've got the 10 cars who were the fastest during this morning's qualifying session in the prototype category. Each of them will get one lap. They will leave the pit lane at 30-second intervals. In fact, they already have left the pit lane at 30-second intervals, meaning they've got plenty of space on the track. But the lap times and the sector times will be coming in thick and fast as we see who is going to be the fastest. It's very simple. The fastest claims pole. Anything they did earlier on is irrelevant. It got them here. It's going to do no more for them. So let's find out who is in the top 10 and contender for Superpole. 10th in qualifying and starting as the first car to set their lap time will be Timo Kinneman in the number 69 Veltins Porsche Team Westwood car. Kinneman, of course, has 2 wins in Formula Virtual and is hoping to add this event to his prestigious tally. 9th in qualifying, so second up, will be the number 20 Thunderhead Racing Cadillac with Darrell Pollard at the wheel. Now, with 4 Formula Virtual races in 2013 under his belt, this will rank surely among Darrell Pollard's greatest achievements if they can get a result this year at the virtual 24 hours. Third on track will be James Vázquez in the number 37 Ingram Jaguar Racing P-Type with a podium in Formula Virtual, but second in the FV2 Championship in 2017. Vázquez's career has been going from strength to strength ever since, and the victory at the virtual 24 hours would certainly rank highly among his achievements. Fourth on track will be the number 9 Campos Motorsport Tauro V8 with Jean Matson at the wheel. Second in the Formula Virtual World Championship in 2013, the veteran Frenchman has 3 wins in Formula Virtual. 6th overall in qualifying was number 8 Mercedes AMG Team Kately Arrow car with Yukumi Takahashi at the wheel. His career highlight undoubtedly is second in the Indy Virtual 2018 Championship with 4 wins, including a victory at the legendary Long Beach V-Prix and at Watkins Glen. The 6th car to take the track today will be the number 7 Highwind Endurance HE01 car, the Irish team with Puccio Giordano at the wheel. 3 wins in Formula Virtual. He's been an ever-present force in the championship, and it'll be interesting to see how he takes to the virtual 24 hours. Next up is Adrien Simon driving the number 22 Coca-Cola Porsche Team Mathershore car, the Porsche RS Hybrid. The 2016 Formula Virtual World Champion has found it a bit more difficult to find success in recent times, so we'll be hoping that the virtual 24 hours can really end 2020 on the correct note. The anti-penultimate runner in Superpole today will be the number 11 JFPT Franklin Honda car, the Honda HPD 05, with Nick Addison once more at the wheel, having taken the 3rd fastest time in qualifying. The 2017 250 Miles of Monaco winner and Indy Virtual multiple time race winner will surely be hoping to go 2 better and take pole tonight. Down to motorsport in the number 13 car with Brock Kidd will be second to last in the session. The 2017 Indy Virtual Champion is all set for his Formula Virtual debut in 2021, and he's hoping to cap 2020 with victory here at the Nürburgring. Fastest in qualifying and the last car that will set a time today is Nathaniel Powers in the number 14 Downton MCL 001 Hybrid, the 4-time Formula Virtual Champion, the current Formula Virtual Champion, and also an Indy Virtual Triple Crown winner. There's nothing that Nathaniel Powers hasn't competed in, that he hasn't won, and he's going to hope to add the virtual 24 hours to an absolutely star-studded list of victories in his career. So without further ado, the first cars are about to make their way to the start line, with Timo Kinnaman almost finished through the final section of the circuit before making his way on to the Grand Prix start-finish straight. So here we go. This is the Superpole session for the 2020 virtual 24 hours. Okay, so we now have Timo Kinnaman making his way down the start-finish straight to start his lap. The first driver, the Finn, in the Porsche RS Hybrid for Velton's Porsche Team Westwood. The start of this session might be a little bit slower than we are going to see later on, as with the 30-second intervals and such a long circuit, the first sector is actually about 70 seconds in length. So Timo Kinnaman, the first car, Darrell Pollard, will cross the line shortly. In fact, there he is. So Darrell Pollard, the Brit in the Thunderhead MK001 Cadillac, also making a start to his lap. The Brit, of course, only with 4 Formula Virtual starts to his name. This is probably by far the most pressure that he'll have felt in his career. Timo Kinnaman, of course, a Formula Virtual winner, no stranger to pressure and no stranger to the Westwood team, of course, with the success that he has experienced throughout his career. James Vazquez also starting his lap for the Ingram Jaguar, the young Colombian, really coming from strength to strength. But we are about to see our first sector time coming up, with Timo Kinnaman almost reaching the Nürburgring Nordschleife. And there we go, it's a 73.9. Well, we don't know exactly what kind of time that is actually going to be, because of course he's the first car across the line. That's the beauty of Superpole. John Matson will shortly be crossing the line to start his lap in the Campos as well. There we go. John Matson, the Frenchman, Campos Motorsport, on their debut race in virtual motorsport, and of course being run in association with Ingram and Highwind. Highwind and Ingram both have cars in this session as well. So ultimately, I think that they have to be extremely pleased with their performances so far in the virtual 24 hours. Darrell Pollard, there we go, setting another sector 1 time. 0.2 of a second off Timo Kinnaman, who is now making his way up towards Fürchsrohr. And let's have a look to see who we've got now. Yukumi Takahashi starting his lap as well. It won't be long until we see Vazquez. Vazquez there, 72.8. That's the fastest first sector of all. Timo Kinnaman there, 1.1 seconds faster than Timo Kinnaman, in fact, actually. So Vazquez really looking confident. The air and track temperature here, 3 degrees Celsius. This is really, really difficult conditions for all of the drivers. Timo Kinnaman, the first car to set a time through sector 2, going through the Adenauer Forst section of the circuit. Again, we don't know how good a time that is, but Timo Kinnaman looks to be doing pretty well out there. Darrell Pollard will be next up. There we go, Jean Matson as well, with a 74.1, again matching Darrell Pollard. So it seems like Vazquez's lap time is something that's not going to be matched particularly easily, and we've got the cars down to 6th position, with Puccio Giordano starting his lap with Highwind, and indeed Adrien Simon crossing the line in the number 22 Porsche RS Hybrid for Coca-Cola Porsche Team Mathershore. And we've got another sector time in. It's Yukumi Takahashi, a 74.9. That's not a good time compared to what we've seen before from the young Japanese driver. The Mercedes AMG team, Kate Liaro team, one of the front-running teams throughout this race in all of the different categories. In fact, James Vazquez, it's at 7/10 off. That fast first sector hasn't been backed up by the second sector up to the Adenauer Forst. Meanwhile, Timo Kinnaman in the number 69 Porsche is making his way all the way up to Bergwerk, and he's looking like he might be on for a good performance here. The number 11 car, Nick Addison, also starting out on the Grand Prix loop. There we go, Timo Kinnaman, first car, a bit of a trailblazer, setting the first sector time in sector 3 with an 88.922. Times will start coming in thick and fast now. We've got 9 cars out on track. And there we go, with 4 times now set in sector 2, with Jean Matson just crossing over the timing beam. it's Timo Kinnaman still with the fastest lap times, sector time, sorry, and Darrell Pollard. Again, I think Timo Kinnaman's lap is looking very tidy here. He's making his way up towards the carousel, while we've now got Nathaniel Powers, the final driver on the circuit here. Yukumi Takahashi with the fastest Sector 2 time though, so this is it's going to be a hard-fought session. It's such a long lap, and they've got one chance. There would be very, very difficult, highly unlikely that anyone is going to set that perfect lap, as everyone's going to make at least one error. It's Nick Addison through Sector 1 on the Grand Prix circuit. 72.7 seconds, a tenth of a second up on James Vasquez, while Puccio Giordano making his way through Sector 2 now. Vasquez on a decent pace there, only a tenth of a second off Timo Kinnaman, while Brock Kidd in through Sector 1 now. That is a fantastic Sector 1 time there. The Grand Prix circuit really suiting the Downton number 13 car there. 72.6 seconds. Jean Matson sets the fastest Sector 3 time now, so we've got four sector times so far, and all four of them with different fastest drivers. This just shows how close the virtual 24 hours is promising to be. But I think that we're as we start to get further around the lap and everyone starts to settle in. Of course, we'll get the final lap times in, and we'll have a really good indication of how this is going to go for everyone. Yukumi Takahashi, a second purple sector there in Sector 3. The Mercedes really working well after being slightly off the pace in the Grand Prix loop all the way up to Kesselchen. Has been the fastest car on the circuit. Where is Takahashi at the moment? He's just coming up the top of the forest section through to the carousel, so it's going to be interesting to see what he can manage there. James Vasquez again, another tenth of a second lost to Timo Kinnaman, but again it's a decent lap time, and Puccio Giordano's lap time a bit off the pace there. The high wind car and the Italian certainly not enjoying the conditions quite as much as some. Here we go now though, we've got the number 69 Westwood Porsche with Timo Kinnaman coming down the Dottinger Hohe, and we're not that far away now from getting our first lap time of the session, and it'll be interesting to see where the benchmark sits. Jean Matson with the fastest Sector 4 time coming through Schwedenkreuz and the Stefan Beloff S section, so that's going to be interesting to see what happens here. And there we go with a 104 second final sector. It's a very long final sector. Timo Kinnaman sets the benchmark. It's a 7 minute 6.632 seconds. Now, of course, it remains to be seen quite how good that's going to be, but we think that in the colder conditions that will be a very competitive lap time actually. Takahashi another 4/10 off Timo Kinnaman through Sector 4, but with the two decent sector times in Sectors 2 and 3, that looks like it could well be a very solid performance from the Japanese driver. And there we go, Darrell Pollard sets his lap time. It's 1.4 seconds off Timo Kinnaman there, so Pollard with a thoroughly decent lap time though, so to be that close to a driver like Timo Kinnaman is certainly nothing to be ashamed of. So we'll get James Vasquez coming through now, but it looks like the number 13 car of Brock Kidd is absolutely on the pace with an identical Sector 3 time as the fastest so far from Yukumi Takahashi. Brock Kidd is absolutely flying out there. James Vasquez sets his lap time and slots in between the number 69 and number 20 cars with a 7 minute 7.668, a whole second off in fact, Timo Kinnaman in his Jaguar. So that's so things are starting to take shape now. We've got Brock Kidd going really quickly out there. We've got Yukumi Takahashi, who isn't that far away from finishing, but first we will see Jean Matson cross the line. And indeed, there he is, and it's a 7:07.917. That's 1.2 seconds off. He's into third. Timo Kinnaman, bearing in mind he was the trailblazer, he was the first to experience the conditions. He set what looks like to be a very, very good benchmark. Nobody's been able to get within a second of him with 4 cars completing their laps. Yukumi Takahashi will be next across the line, and it's been a very, very good lap so far, with only the first sector through the Grand Prix loop really being less than brilliant, and it's a great lap. It's a 7 minute 6.759. It's not quite good enough to knock Kinnaman off the top of the timesheets, but it was the fastest Sector 5 time. He'll be rueing the fact he lost an entire second to the Finn through the first sector, only 1/10 off the pace. So now Brock Kidd coming through Sector 4 within half a second of the best time, but with two really good times so far. He certainly is looking like he's on for a very good lap time here. Next across the line will be Puccio Giordano, and unfortunately for the Italian, for Highwind in their first international virtual motor race since changing their identity, a 7 minutes 10.122, 3.5 seconds off the pace. He set the fastest Sector 5 time, but unfortunately he looks like he lost all of his time pretty much through Sector 1. Yukumi Takahashi's times now through sectors 2 and 3 not bested by anybody, and we've had Nathaniel Powers coming through. Nathaniel Powers, we haven't really spoken about him. It's certainly not going particularly well. He hasn't been quick anywhere through the first 4 sectors really. His sector 4 time wasn't too bad. We've got Adrian Simon who set the lap time. He's only 5th position. Timo Kinnaman here with only 3 people left to set lap times. Looks like he has pulled something out of the bag. This is absolutely fantastic from the Finn. Adrian Simon will be disappointed to be 1.2 seconds off, but only 4 thousandths away from his countryman Jean Matson in the number 9 Campos car. And who's that? Oh, it's Nick Addison. Oh, he's got pole position so far. Provisional pole for the Australian in the Honda. Another 1/10 of a second up the road. A 7 minutes 6.502, and we've now only got the 2 Downton cars to go. So we've got 30 seconds to wait between each of these cars approximately. Brock Kidd with 2 fastest sectors so far, 2 purple sectors, and the 2 sectors that he wasn't purple look pretty good. It looks like it's going to go down to the wire, and there we are. Oh my goodness me, 0.18, so 18 thousandths of a second. Brock Kidd takes provisional pole position. And I don't think Nathaniel Powers has the pace here. I think Kidd, with a 7 minutes 6.483, is actually going to take pole position here for the 2020 virtual 24 hour here at the Nürburgring. This has been an incredibly close session with 4 cars covered by less than 0.3 of a second, and a significant gap actually between 4th and the rest of the field. And there we go, Powers comes through, and it's only a 7:08.261, 1.7 seconds off his teammate. That's 9th place for Nathaniel Powers, and it's the end of the session. And I think that everybody was expecting a Downton on pole, but they weren't necessarily thinking it would be Brock Kidd. That is an incredible lap time from the American, who will be making his Formula Virtual debut in 2021. He looks all set to be trying to add something else to his Roll of Honour after the 2017 Indy Virtual title, with 18 thousandths of a second separating himself, Nick Addison. Timo Kinnaman only just over a 1/10 of a second behind, bearing in mind he was the trailblazer. He was the first car out on circuit. Timo Kinnaman with an absolutely fantastic qualifying result there. Yukumi Takahashi once again impressive in the Mercedes. James Vazquez, 5th position, just over a second off the pace, but nothing to be ashamed of there. That's a very decent lap time. And Jean Matson in 6th place, only 4 thousandths of a second ahead of compatriot Adrian Simon in the number 22 Porsche RS Hybrid of Coca-Cola Porsche Team Mathershore. Darrell Pollard in the Thunderhead did well to even make this top 10 shootout for Superpole, but actually beats Nathaniel Powers in 9th place. Must have made a mistake somewhere on the circuit. All the sector times don't look particularly bad, but I think that it was just never managed to hook any of the session up really. While Puccio Giordano rounds out the top 10 on the grid with probably a disappointing lap for the Italian, but once again it has been an absolutely wonderful session. Brock Kidd takes pole position for the virtual 24 hours of 2020. Join us tomorrow for the moment we've all been waiting for, the start of the 2020 virtual 24 hours here at the Nürburgring. The race itself starts at 2 p.m. Central European time. Join us for the start and then for the hourly updates. We'll see you there.